Go.
There we go.
The
Yay.
camera loves slow
Nice
movement.
camera.
Yes.
Excellent.
So Sonoma Coast,
Sonoma Coast. This is back to our home.
wine that you've been making for a significantly longer period of time.
Yeah, since back in the 90s. This is sort of our foundation. In fact, most people, if they know La Crema, this is probably the one that they know. So we put actually a lot of care into this wine because it's really our face to the world. A lot of folks will never get a chance to try, so the Russian River or the 9-barrel, any of these smaller bottlings that we do. So if this is what people are going to know you for,
This is your ambassador.
you would better be paying attention and putting all the TLC you can into this wine. So this is a blend of many different clones and different vineyards, everything kept separate. Again, the picking in the middle of the night while the fruit is beautifully cool, a gentle pressing. Takes about 3 hours for press cycle. It spends one night in tank to settle, then off to barrel for fermentation. Once it's done its primary fermentation, it gets that stirring, that gentle hand stirring every 3 weeks. After you've stirred a couple hundred barrels, you really appreciate just that handcrafted touch to it. But that's what it takes to get sort of that weight that we're looking for. And again, it's that same animal culture as the Monterey, but such a different fruit profile.
And for me, also texturally, it's such a different wine. I mean, it really is. It's refreshing to see somebody bottling two different wines at fairly similar price points that are actually two different wines.
Yeah.
Because a lot of time, especially with the proliferation of single vineyard wines, you get more winemaking, less expression of fruit in sight, so you get wines that taste similar. These definitely have very unique characters, each of them.
Yeah.
Has the winemaking changed at all for the Sonoma Coast Chardonnay over the decades?
Very little, honestly. I think it's because of some of the continuity we've had on our winemaking team. We just have a philosophy of the minimal intervention and the really gentle handling that just carried us all the way through. I think we pulled back, if anything, a little bit on the oak over the years. I think we're spending a little bit less time in oak and dialing back the new oak a little bit. But it's really more just to showcase the fruit because our vineyard sources are getting better and better. You plant these vineyards, and it takes a few years for them to really show their stuff, show what they can do. And our estate vineyards are getting more established and having more character themselves. And our growers are fantastic. Some of them we've been working with since I started in '01 and before then. So it's just continually upping your game. And as the fruit gets better, the less you want to obscure it. So.
And also, I think there's a fascinating difference between people who are buying fruit on the market and people who are working with growers, long contracts. Yeah. You get to know the vineyards. You get to be able to sort of massage the vineyards so that it produces fruit to your specs. You have an idea of what you want out of that vineyard. That continuity, I think, is phenomenally important in producing better wine with each passing vintage.
No, and absolutely. And we have serious working relationships with some of these growers. They come in every year, every spring, and taste their wines with us and get the feedback. And we hear about how they're doing and what's up with their vineyard and what's up with their family. And we got a new puppy, watch out for him.
This is Sonoma.
It's just. I think it's so much better if you have that kind of the richness of the personalities and the relationship.
Just a business transaction.
Yeah, no, it's not like that. And our growers don't think of themselves as grape growers. They're wine growers. They actually, there's some bragging rights to which wine you get into.
Oh, that's pretty interesting.
Because especially if you could go into either the higher tier wine or more base wine, it's like more sort of bragging over the fence a little bit.
Do you give like Boy Scout patches?
Well, it's surely a bragging rights kind of thing.
Okay.
But it's one of those things we kind of encourage a little bit of competition for sure.
So this is tell us about this wine. What should people be experiencing, especially contrasting it with the Monterey?
With this one, I mean, there's still some lovely citrus, but I think it's more, away from the Meyer lemon. I think you're getting more even into sort of a richer Mandarin kind of quality, sort of a pretty note there. But there's also, really lovely appley quality. The Russian River portion of it, which is again a pretty large amount of the Chardonnay, has some of that kind of like the baked pear richness to it as well. And all of these different areas with varying levels of fog intrusion and sort of the cool quality of the climate, just leave an imprint on it. Some areas are more are more minerally. Other areas are just more about just sheer vibrancy. And if you get into the ever so slightly warmer areas of the Russian River, you can end up with just that beautiful, broad, rich texture. And you know, again, a little tiny bit of the oak, sort of framing it, adding little hints of the caramel. It complements it, I think.
And the oak treatment is similar on the two?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. About 4 months oak. And actually, the Sonoma coast is just a few percent lower on the new oak.
Okay, because I think that I was going to say the Monterey to me had much more of the caramel and toast. The Sonoma coast is a little bit more focused and a little bit leaner.
Yeah, this one's about 18% new oak,
Which is pretty small.
Yeah, and we do keep our barrels for about 5 years. So the older oak is really just imparting just sort of roundness as opposed to continually adding more layers of that spice and oak. So the fruit, it has enough sweetness on its own without needing to really make it up too much.